Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. Today, the movie I'm reviewing is Dark Phoenix. It is rated PG-13. It's 1 hour and 53 minutes, and the grade that I gave it is a C. I know, so disappointing, right? Marvel attempts to connect former X-Men movies in this franchise, as well as tie up loose ends in this big grand finale. Unfortunately, as a finale, it's not as grand as had hoped it would be, especially considering they spent $200 million to make this film. The marketing and buildup were sparse at best, especially considering Marvel's big Avengers grand finale, which was grand and amazing, and I loved it. And I'd readily admit, I'm not a huge X-Men fan, although I've seen all of the movies, but certainly not like I am a big Marvel Avengers fan. And unfortunately, again, this movie is not going to make any new fans for this X-Men franchise. Now, technically, there will still be some more spin-offs in this franchise, but this is the last of the team movies, we're told. So, some positive themes before I get into the negative stuff. The themes are that there's still hope. That's said by Professor Charles Xavier, who's played beautifully by James McAvoy. And the X-Men franchise, I'm sure, is hoping there's still hope for this franchise. At the very beginning, we hear a voice who we later learn is Jean Grey, or Phoenix. And she says, "Who are we? Are we simply what others want us to be? Are we destined to a fate beyond our control? Or can we evolve, become something more?" And so that is a positive theme that certainly applies to her character, but a little bit to a few of the other characters as well. So I liked that theme. Another theme that we can all relate to is the desire to be loved and accepted. And then there's a strong theme of friendship and loyalty, as friendship and loyalties are tested in the movie. Some other things that I really liked is, first of all, if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, you'll be thrilled to see your beautiful Sophie Turner added into this X-Men world. I thought she did a really great job as Jean Grey / Phoenix, and her eyes are so beautiful, which makes for a very mesmerizing X-Men character, don't you think? She was really fun to watch. And if you are a Game of Thrones fan, there's this one scene where a character is speaking this language, which kind of sounded like Dothraki to me. So that you might get a kick out of that. You'll probably go, "No, it doesn't. That's totally not Dothraki," whatever. Anyway, another big win for this movie is the fact that Hans Zimmer had actually already decided to retire from composing music, especially for superhero movies. But newbie director Simon Kinberg talked him into doing it one more time for this film. So that is a huge win for Kinberg because this is his first directorial debut, although he did work on other movies, other projects like Fantastic Four, for example. Some of the CGI in the movie is really great. Some of it not so great. And some of the action sequences are really fun and you get excited, but unfortunately they don't happen that often. And that's kind of one of the big bummers of the movie is these characters don't get to use their superhero powers very often. And the other part is every time you see one of these X-Men, it makes you realize, we never got an origin story for that character. I don't really know that much about that character. I didn't get much time to fall in love with that character. So you kind of don't care that much about some of the characters, some of the extra peripheral guys. And maybe we will get some origin stories later on as spin-offs. But in terms of the high stakes, I was kind of like, yeah, he'll probably die, she'll die, whatever, and that's not good. You don't want a grand finale to have that effect on the audience. So that's kind of sad. Speaking of the characters, I have to jump back to James McAvoy because I think he is one of the best actors in Hollywood right now. And so I love seeing him in everything he does, but it was disappointing that we didn't get to see his greatness because he's so talented. There's this one scene where he's amazing and he does something that you go, oh, but other than that, he's just kind of there. And that, he's just kind of like another character that doesn't really call your attention. I don't know. I was also excited to learn that Jessica Chastain was going to be in this movie. I think she's a great actress as well. Some have been critical that she even took this role, which I think that's bizarre. I mean, she could do this movie and she did her part well. But again, I felt badly for her because her character, um, the story, I should say, was very boring and slow moving and handled ineptly, in my opinion. It could have been done so much better. And that's part of it. The pacing is kind of bad. The buildup of certain things is almost not existent. For example, there's this romance in the story, and there's no like tension that leads up to, I like you, do you like me? They're just sort of kissing and they're a couple like within a second. So I thought that that was kind of weird. Um, this is also the first time we don't get to see the awesome and amazing Hugh Jackman in the role as Logan/Wolverine. And so it didn't feel like a full ensemble without his presence there. I would have also liked to have seen Jean as a young girl in Professor Xavier's school. We see her as a young girl. He kind of takes her under his wing. And then the next thing we know, she's like this grown woman. And she's still unsure of how to use her power. She's questioning who she is. And I feel like, well, what did they do the last 10 plus years in the school? Like she should have already gone through all of those dilemmas, right? So it was kind of strange. And then also we missed all of the fun action in the school, kind of like the magic of Harry Potter and Hogwarts. It's fun to see the characters interacting with each other. There's this one dance party and there's a character named Dazzler and she's just kind of dancing. End of scene. We never see her again. We don't really get to enjoy the school. So I thought that was weird. Did you like that little dance move there? Anyway, the problem with this is we're so used to seeing amazing movies that this one just felt boring in comparison. Isn't that crazy? It's kind of amazing that we would even say that because it did have some great CGI. But again, that's another one of the weaknesses. There are some scenes that were completely redone, and you can tell because they look very different from some of the earlier scenes. For example, they're in space. And by the way, one of the characters is wearing the space helmet and all of the other X-Men don't. And I'm thinking, why does he need it and they don't? There's just sort of bizarre things. But anyway, there's this space scene towards the beginning of the movie, and it just looks like a really dumb green screen scene. And so with that high budget, you're thinking, what? That's bizarre. But then at the very end of the movie, some of the scenes look really great. And you're like, okay, there we go. And that's where they spent some of the money, is in redoing some of these scenes. Anyway, there is a death scene where the camera just gets way too close, and I wanted them to back up so we could see kind of how this moment was affecting other people, but it was like zoomed into like the cheek, and you just saw skin and cheek. I mean, I could see zooming into the face. But anyway, so there were just some weird camera angles and some things like that. Whatever. One of the strangest things of the movie is that nobody really refers to the word Phoenix, which is the title of the movie, The Dark Phoenix, right? And some people have even said it should have been rated R, so it could have really gone dark. And I disagree. I love having PG-13 movies because that gives us more things to watch with our children and have really great discussions with our kids, right? So you just kind of didn't get what the movie title promised, which was kind of weird. I think the movie poster was good. You were able to quickly identify that it was an X-Men movie and see which characters were going to be in it. But the movie just didn't promise as much as we had hoped. There's certainly not enough humor, and I love humor even in movies. This movie kind of takes itself too seriously. And if you wanted to turn it into a fun drinking game, not that I drink, but I think it'd be kind of hilarious just to get some laughs, is decide that every time you hear one of the characters say, Gene, then you're going to drink or laugh. And then you're going to get lots of laughs because everybody in the movie, like the whole movie, everybody's going, Gene, 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 which I thought was kind of funny. Anyway, all right, that's probably enough. You kind of get the gist, right? It's a disappointment. So there's that. Anyway, be sure and subscribe and visit my website where I have all my written reviews with a lot more information. That's what's it called? It's moviereviewmom.com. Anyway, I hope if you see the movie that you enjoy it. If this movie this review makes you think, maybe not, wait till it comes out on Netflix or something. That's probably a good choice. Anyway, I'll see you at the movies. Bye for now.